I am very thrilled to be here, and I'm very thrilled that His Excellency gave me the opportunity to accompany him here.
Obviously, you are a global campaigner for Hands Off Our Girls, that being in Sierra Leone. How will you describe that campaign so far?
I mean, it's the biggest campaign that has happened in Sierra Leone. It's the Hands Off Our Girls or the free quality education. So I'm very pleased to be championing that, and I'm very honored that I've been given that opportunity too.
We all know that countries like Sierra Leone and other African countries, gender parity is very high and inequality is also very high. Likewise, in Sierra Leone, of course. What do you think leaders need to do urgently in order to tackle that inequality there, especially for girls?
Well, I think the most important thing for that parity to be to look into, for me, His Excellency is doing that. It's through education. Because if you empower all the men and they are educated, they are exposed, they are enlightened, and you leave the women behind, of course that is victimization. Now that we have the opportunity to have free quality education in Sierra Leone, now that His Excellency is investing, at least 22% of our GDP into education for not only boys but for boys and girls, I believe that is the way forward, and my support on that agenda is 110%, and I believe Sierra Leone will definitely see the benefit of free education, and they will see the benefit of allowing girls to be in school.
Just a moment ago, His Excellency was speaking and he echoed about the importance of girls' education nationwide, and also he stressed that his policy that he introduced for allowing pregnant girls to continue their education despite being pregnant, which was of course not possible in Sierra Leone. How vital has that been?
That shows that we have a president that understands his people. We have a president that sees his people not just as subject but as equals. And Maada Bio has always said, I want girls to be educated. I want girls to be educated. I am not sure whether because he has a lot of girls as daughters, but he had always said girls should be educated because he believed that when a woman is educated, that woman ends up making the family a very successful family. So the radical inclusion in allowing pregnant girls, it's not one that you want to, glorify all the time, because you don't want the girls to think that it is okay. But when a girl has been victimized, because it's two people that have sex for one to be pregnant. Now, how on earth will a little girl who become pregnant because they have sex with a boy and the boy is allowed to go to school, and then this girl is now asked to stay out of school because they are pregnant? I think it's in that light that His Excellency sees that if we're talking about equality, if we're talking about inclusion, if we're talking about human capital development, we have to give these girls the opportunity, we have to give them the chance, we have to also make them be part of the new change, which is the new direction in Sierra Leone. And he's doing that perfectly, and he's working. We are just a support mechanism like the Hands Off Our Girls. The focus on that is making sure we don't only talk about rape and early marriage, but we also become role models. We give the girls inspiration, we talk to them, we make them believe that being in school is the best place to be, and that is happening. And during the COVID, we had to go around the country again to give out sanitary pads to girls. And every school I go to, they will tell me this is the second term. Before now, second term, 35% of our girls would have dropped out of school for one reason or the other. And this is the first time since, the last 20 whatever years it is after the war, this is the first time 95% of all girls came back to school second term of school year, and that is a huge achievement.
Speaking of those achievements and also the percentage, what can you say to critics who think, yes, the free education is being introduced, but that free education is not quality enough, as you are suggesting, because none of your government or none of the ministers in Sierra Leone has got any of their children in that free education?
Well, I don't know about the minister's children. I don't know about the government children, because everybody have your child. You let your child stay where you want them to be. My children were born here, and they started schooling here. And by the time we went back to Sierra Leone, for instance, my son was doing his GCSE. He was already here at the middle of his GCSE. You don't expect me to just take him out and go over there to do GCSE when the curriculum here is what he knows, So I just can't talk about other people's private whatever it is, but all I'm saying is the educational system that His Excellency inherited is the worst that you can think of in Africa, when Sierra Leone was once the atom of Africa. Sierra Leone was the place that every West African country, and even beyond West Africa, used to be proud to say, I was educated in Sierra Leone. By the time His Excellency came to governance in that country, when a university children or university girls or boys, when they write to you a letter, you would think that is a primary school girl or a primary school boy writing a letter. So that is worse. And the compromises that are there in our schooling, where you allow girls to spy, you allow boys to spy, so they don't even focus on their education because they know they're going to have help from their teachers. And all through corruption, because when you collect money from these girls or you collect money from their parents and give them a grade that they don't deserve, you are not only corrupt, but you're destroying a whole nation and you're destroying a child's future. And all of that, His Excellency is tackling. For me, it's better for him to tackle all of these problems and fix them so that we have a good foundation as a nation when it comes to education and go back to where we were as the atom of Africa. And I believe that the critics will be criticizing because of politics, but I know deep down in them, they know 100% that His Excellency is on the right track, and His Excellency is doing what he's supposed to do to fix a broken system, which he inherited in 2018. Is the worst and the most, he keeps saying they are unfit for purpose, and that's the educational system that he inherited. So fixing that should be everybody's job. Fixing that should be a collective job. Fixing that should be a Sierra Leonean job, and fixing that should be not only the president, but the teachers, the parents, brothers, sisters, everyone supporting each other, everyone helping each other. That is collective job if we want our country to be where it was as the atom of Africa before.
And just finally from me, but briefly, being here before or living in the UK before, you know that Sierra Leone is kind of popular for all the negative reasons over the last 3 decades. What do you think as a government or as a Sierra Leonean, Sierra Leone needs to do in order to change that narrative? And also in terms of not only the educational wise, but the equality and also corruption, as you mentioned there, still very huge, despite your government or His Excellency President Maada Bio trying very hard to tackle that. It is still there. Just a week ago, I was reading an article where, from the chair of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Ben Kalfala, where he said he warned teachers and principals to be aware that he's heard of corruption, that anywhere they are, they will chase them. What do you think you need to do as a government to make sure that it is eradicated totally?
Well, that is His Excellency's job. I am just the First Lady. The President makes his policies and he implements them. And I know that when it comes to corruption, we all know he's fighting corruption. And I know that when it comes to making sure people do the right thing, the thing is, people talk about corruption. Sierra Leone has been infested with corruption so badly that even when you are the one doing the right thing, they come after you. And when you fight corruption, I want you to know corruption comes back to fight you, because the people who are corrupt, they don't want to change. These are people that have been in that system the last 20 years. They have not just come today because His Excellency is there. They have been in that system for the last 20 years, and they are fighting back because they don't want the change. That change that His Excellency is so craving for Sierra Leone, it's a mindset. Sierra Leoneans need to change their mindset. When we use our money, let us use them for the right purposes. Let us use them as they are supposed to be used. Do you understand? But then you will see this corrupt human being, the worst corrupt person, will go on social media or will go on the internet and sit there and talk about what? The First Lady. The First Lady took this, the First Lady took that. And I'm thinking, are you for real? Are you not checking yourself? Or who am I? I'm just a Sierra Leonean. I don't have the power to tell them. I think you should look round, turn around and look at the mirror, and then when you see yourself, then you stop to talk about corruption. You know, corruption is in DNA of people. If you yourself are not ready to stop it, it is difficult. It is a difficult fight. But one thing I can say to you is the fact that His Excellency has done a fabulous job in fighting corruption, and he has been steadfast. He has not moved. He's the way he wants to fight it. They have said everything. They have talked about everything just to make him stop, and he has refused to stop, because if he stopped now, then he has become, the whole fight about corruption will be a failure. This is the first time we have a commissioner who fights corruption, who is actually getting results. How much money has Ben Kelfala got back from the corrupt system and the people who have stolen our money? Billions. Because the last time I checked, we've already had over $3 million, I think. I'm not good with all of those statistics, but I think, but these are all corrupt money. So we have a system that is working. I have never heard any other government before Maada Bio who came in and said that this is what we collected through corruption. Never. Instead, those corrupt systems are fighting back every day, and they don't want anybody to change the system. It has to stay the same way. Well, under Maada Bio's watch, it's not going to happen.